you like when I walk?
Are y'all excited? Yeah. Man, this year's fixing to be a brand new year. Amen. Y'all remember just yesterday, it seems like that we were concerned about our computers crashing and the world coming to an end and all that stuff because the year 2000 our computers wasn't going to be able to handle it or something, and so we but anyway, here it is, fixing to be 2018. Goodness gracious. That means that Mike Wall is getting old. 2018. Consider the alternative, I don't think he minds. But here we're going into a brand new, fixing to go into a brand new year. Y'all excited about it? Yeah. Amen. Well, we ought to be excited about it. Man, look at the opportunities we're going to have this year. But let's get our Bibles, make that old devil matter, and stand up and just wave them in his face and repeat after me. This is my Bible. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I have what it says I have. I can do what it says I can do. Today, I'll be taught the Word of God. And I boldly confess. My mind is alert. My heart is receptive. And I'll never be the same. I'm about to receive the incorruptible, indestructible, ever-living seed of the Word of God. And I'll never be the same. Never, never, never. I'll never be the same. In Jesus' name. Amen. Hallelujah. I'm not too much about, I never have really liked to have sermons for special occasions and stuff, but you know, Christmas time, you can't hardly help but have a Christmas sermon. And here it is, New Year's, and so you know, we need something to encourage us. And I do want to encourage you today, and I want us to understand that last year's gone. We can't do anything about it. There's no need getting the money grubs about it, worrying about it. But I'll tell you what, we have a wonderful opportunity to go forward and do something next year. We've only got a few hours of this year left. You still do something this year. Yeah. but you know what? We've got something to do next year that's very important. And so we need to be encouraged and we need to be pumped up and ready to make a difference. Do y'all want to make a difference? Yes. I'll tell you what, we don't have any business just coming up here playing church. And just coming up here because that's what you do on Sunday. I tell you what, we need to come up here expecting something to happen, and we need to leave here expecting something to happen and have in our heart to go out and change things, make a difference in this world that we're living in, because that's what we're here for. And so I started getting this sermon, you know, and so it's too much for today. So we're going to do two Sundays, amen, and maybe 3 Sundays. I don't know. We may not never get over this sermon. We may just keep on going, you know, and just keep on adding to it or whatever it is. But you know what? I know we're not going to get through with it today. So let's turn to the book of Judges. And if you would, Judges, the 19th chapter. And while we're turning there, I want to tell you what happened to Taylor. Y'all proud of Taylor? Yeah. But you know, she went down to Columbus to go to school. And she liked not come back. She just went back and back and back. But while she was down there, well, she found this dude ranch, and so she went out to the dude ranch, and she would ride horses. And so this cowboy come up to her, and he said, "Now, what do you want? Do you want American type saddle, or do you want English saddle. And she said, well, I just don't have any idea. I don't know the difference. What's the difference in them? And she said, that cowboy told her, well, I said, the Western type saddle has a horn. And the English type saddle don't have a horn. And so Taylor sat there, she thought a little bit. She said, well, just go ahead and give me the English saddle. I don't think there's going to be much traffic out there today anyway. Amen. I'm going to start getting pictures up here when I tell you a joke, y'all can see it. Amen. Okay. Now, Judges, the 19th chapter. I just want to just sort of scan over this, and then we're going to read, starting verse 22 on down to 30. But in the 19th chapter, it talks about there was a king in Israel back in those days. But a certain Levite took himself a concubine. And this concubine played the whore. And so after she left, that's what it said. You don't have to cover your face. It's in here. And so after she had taken her, well, she left him and she went to stay with her dad for 4 months. Went back home to her dad and stayed 4 months. And after the 4th month, said that her husband rose up and he went after her. And then I want y'all to look at verse 3 there. It says right at the end of it, it says, and when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. Now don't you know, he was happy. That girl now left home, now she's come back. And so he was excited about the husband come back to get him. And so then, in fact, he was so excited, he sort of threw a party. And had him stay overnight, and then another night, and then another night, and then another night. And finally, he stayed there 5 days. And after the 5th day, well, he went and they started to part. And so he left there, and they on the way to where they was going back home. While they came to a town, it was beginning to get dark. And they didn't have any lodging back in those days. They didn't have motels and stuff. They stayed with people. And so they come to this town, and there was no man came out. And real late in the evening, nobody offered to let them stay with them. And so they said that they was headed to the church, and there was no man came by. And so this guy, he told us, listen, we got all the provisions that we need. We've got everything for our animals and all. I said, but the man said, no, so you can't stay down here in the street. You need to just come home with us. And so the old man took him home with them. And he said, I've got everything you need there. And so you just come on and go home with us. And then we're going to pick up there in verse 22. It says, now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Baal, set the house round about and beat at the door and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, bring forth this man that came into thine house, that we may know him. Now, I don't know if I need to explain this to y'all or not, but they didn't just want to meet him because they hadn't met him before. They came to the house, there's a bunch of homosexuals, and they come to the house that they may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, nay, my brother, nay, I pray thee, do not so wickedly sin that this man is come to mine house, do not this folly. And number 24 says, behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Then I will bring them out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing. And verse 25 says, but the man would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. Now, verse 26 says, Then came the woman in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the men's house where their Lord was till it was light. And her Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the floor of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up unto an ass, and the man rose up and gat him unto his place. And when he was come into the house, he took a knife and laid hold of the concubine and divided her together with her bones unto 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coast of Israel. And it was so that all that saw it said, There was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt to this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. He said, do three things. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. Or in other words, consider it, take counsel, and speak your minds. Mike, if you would, lead us in a word of prayer.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you. We thank you for the word of God. We just lift it up and it makes a difference in our life. It's help all our flesh. And so, Lord, we appreciate the good words that every time God can use our hearts, that it makes a difference. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Okay, let's go over this real fast. A man was traveling with his wife, and there's a man of angry, mean, vicious, homosexual men attacked the man and his wife. They took his wife, they abused her, they raped her all night, they left her for dead, and she crawled all the way home. The next morning there was a dead woman with her hands on the threshold of the door, and when her husband came out and saw such a sight, he did something that caused such an outrage in Israel that the nation was moved to action. He took the corpse, he cut it into 12 pieces, and he sent it to each one of the tribes of Israel. And then verse 30 is what I want to preach to you about. He said these three things. Consider what's happening in our nation. He said, take counsel. In other words, take advice. And then he said, speak up. In other words, speak your mind. And I want to tell you what, today we need to take these three things into consideration. We need to consider what's happening in our nation. I don't know if y'all know it or not, but our nation's in a mess. Amen. I mean, you know what? It looks so much better than it did just a year ago. And I'm excited about the things, the upward trend that it's going, and how wonderful things are going. But you know what? I tell you what, it's still in a mess.
Amen.
And so we need to at least be concerned about it. Amen?
Amen.
And we need to at least acknowledge it. But I'll tell you what, when this happened and when he took those things, something drastic needed to happen to make the people stand up. And you know, 400,000 men, when they saw what had taken place in their nation, they become so outraged that they attacked that village that this happened in, and they went in there and wiped them out, and they drove the evil out of that nation. I'm going to tell you one thing, it's time that we become outraged.
Amen.
Amen? Or old me?
Amen. Yeah, come on.
It's time that we become outraged. And you know what? It's that ability of outrage that we're calling for today. We need to be outraged. We need to get out of this old everyday, mundane, going in from one place to another and just que sera, sera. And we need to be concerned. We need to be outraged about this. I tell you what, the despair in America, the violence in America, the value of life in America, you know what? The attack of faith and the religious and liberties in America should make believers outraged. It should make us outraged. Y'all don't have to get all quiet on it. I just want to challenge you today. But instead, there's a silent majority that's sitting on the sidelines. We don't want to be a part of the silent majority. We don't want to be on the sidelines. We need to make a difference. Amen? Amen. Do you want to make a difference?
Yeah.
Do you want it to go on?
No.
No. We want to make a difference. But you know what? We look at the abuse that's all around us. And we look at the pornography. You say, oh, Brother Charles, there ain't all that going on. Yeah, there's pornography going on all around. I tell you what, it needs to surprise you who takes part in things like pornography. There's pornography right here in this church. I know about it. And everybody look at your neighbor and says, it's you? I tell you what, there's pornography in our teenagers right here today. And you know what? It's not right. And I tell you what, we need to stand up against it. And you know what I'm saying today? That as we look at the violence that's all around us, as we look at the drug addiction that's all around us, can you say, oh me? You say, hey, we look around and we think about the dope dealers. We got a park up there, and one of the worst things that we have is we have to watch out because people will be selling dope and they'll sell it on the street and you can recognize them immediately. And immediately I give them a 3-day notice, and I tell you what, in a couple of weeks we got to move out of there. Amen. But there's drugs, but you think about things like that. But I'll tell you one thing, drug addiction is not just on the streets. Uh-oh. Have y'all been down to Walmart's lately? And tried to get a prescription filled? You know, Walmarts are known for their long lines at the cashier's counter. Go try to get some prescription filled at Walmart's. You're fixing to wait a while. And then you go out to, what is it, CV something another? Walgreens or CVS or something. And you go to those places, and you know what? You've got to wait in line. Why? Because there's so many stinking drugs being passed around. And there's drug addictions in the high class, in the low class. And as we look at our nation being overrun with unrighteousness and with sin and corruption in the highest places, what all is coming out in our government? All of our people that we're supposed to be looking up to, the ones that's supposed to be making a difference in our country, you look at them and they've got all kinds of sin in their life.
Amen.
And there's no need trying to get into it because you have to cover a spectrum of everything, and you have to cover everybody, Democrats, Republicans, and no matter what they are. Sins are being brought out. And so when we look at our nation, there's corruption all over the place. The hands of a dying nation is on the threshold of the church.
Yeah.
Hands of suicidal youth. Kids that are taking their own life. And hands of millions of alcoholic and drug addicts. Their hands are on the threshold of our churches out here. And hands of child abuse. Hands of people that are suffering and need the body of Christ to see what's taking place. You know what? We have neighborhoods right around here in Lufkin that the police won't even go into. And when you call them, we have to call them out there at the park, and we have to call. The other night, there's one guy. He went down and he beat his girlfriend there, and they don't have wives anymore. A lot of times they just have girlfriends or fiancées, and so he beat his fiancée. And put some knots on her head and stuff so she wasn't going to turn him in. But that wasn't good enough. He went down the road, him and a couple more guys, and was going to whoop one of them guys down there. I don't know what for, the little innocent guy, the little innocent boy. And that boy took a knife and stabbed him in the throat several times, and he started off back, bled all over my porch, and staggered back up the road there and fell on the car and stuff. Finally, the ambulance come out there and got him. But I will tell you one thing, they sent some policemen out there. And they sent, I believe it was 6 city police, 2 highway patrols, a constable, an ambulance, and I don't know if they sent a fire truck or not, but they usually do. I tell you what, but people the police are scared to go out. I wouldn't want to be a policeman. I wouldn't want to stop cars, because I tell you what, people are crazy nowadays. And you know what? But you know what? There's a lot of places out here in Lufkin that people, the police won't even go to hardly. And we're seeing a nation that has their hands on the threshold of the church. And they're saying, if you don't do something, if we don't see the sign, if we don't see the light at this critical crossroads, you know what? We could see the Lady of Liberty, America, die. There's people nowadays that are dedicated to destroying America.
Amen. World's full of them.
I tell you what, big money men. Big money men. In fact, the 4th richest guy, they sent the guy to Amazon, got that Amazon deal to become the richest man in America nowadays, or maybe the world. But the next one, the 4th one down, the 4th richest man, George Soros, he is dedicated to bringing America down. And you know what, all these riots and stuff, they're backed by him and other guys like him. And so, but you know what? It's time that the body of Christ becomes so outraged and becomes so mad that we do something.
Yes.
Stand up. We need to become outraged because there's millions of babies dying. Y'all remember, I believe it was last week, we preached about King Herod, one of the most wicked men that ever was. And he went out and he wanted all the babies killed from 2 years and under. And we said, oh, how awful that is. Remember, he killed his mother-in-law and his brothers and 2 of his sons. And he just killed everybody. We said, oh, how awful that is. But we're killing millions of our own babies right here in the United States every year through abortion. I wonder when God looks down at Herod and he looks down at America, which one he thinks is the worst? That's doing the worst. You know what? Planned Parenthood is taking taxpayer dollars to abort and sell these baby parts. Tanner, something said about abortion the other day, and Tanner said, I know what abortion is. Do y'all know what abortion is? I don't have to explain it, but they've got a thing called partial birth abortion, to where they can stick a needle in your little baby's head. I mean, a baby that's going to live, a baby that's alive, and suck out its brains. Well, Brother Charles, I didn't come up here to hear all this junk. This is New Year's. We ought to be excited about something good. This is good. Because next year we're going to make a difference.
Yeah.
We're going to make a change. We made a change this last year when we put Donald Trump as President of the United States of America. But I want you to know that this year, isn't this year the mid-year, the end of this year, that's when elections come again for the congressmen and representatives and all that kind of stuff. We've got to stand up. We've got to make up our mind right now and find out what these people are all about. You know what? We look and we don't even recognize the nation that we've grown up in. Now some of y'all are my age. Most of you are older, but some of y'all are my age. but you know, hey, listen, when we grew up, it was different. Our grandkids and our great-grandkids will never know what we knew.
Amen.
Me and Mike went to school down there at Lufkin, Texas. And you know what we could do? We could ride in there in our pickups and we could have a gun rack in the back of it with at least 2 or 3 guns in the back of it. And them babies was loaded to the brim.
Amen.
And we could walk in we could walk in there and we could have a pocket knife. Everybody carried a pocket knife around with us. And nobody locked up anything. Nobody locked up their cars. Nobody locked their guns up. Nobody was worried about somebody pulling their pocket knife out and doing something stupid with it. That was just life.
Amen.
Laverne and I bought a new trailer house and a mobile home. A new mobile home. we at one time, and we kept that thing till we finally got to build a house, and we started to sell the mobile home, and we couldn't even find the keys. Why? Because it had never been locked.
Amen. Ain't do it now though.
When we got out of our cars, we left the keys in them because somebody might want to move it out of the way or something.
Amen.
We weren't concerned about all of this junk up here today. But I will tell you one thing, the people nowadays don't know anything about that.
Preach it, come on.
And then, y'all remember when you could go to school and you could pray
Yeah.
over the speaker? You remember prayers over the speaker? Do y'all remember the Pledge of Allegiance and things like that? And you know what? All of a sudden, some dummy decided to take prayer out of school.
Come on.
You know how many it took?
1.
If one can make that much difference, how many can all of us make that difference? We live in a land with businessmen that own like Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A are being sued for millions of dollars. They just not overturned it. They just reinforced it to where that man and woman that's wouldn't bake a cake for some homosexual men.
Yeah.
They just said that it was that they skip it. You know, they're being fined. They're going to go to the Supreme Court, and I feel like at the Supreme Court they're going to get it thrown out and turned around. But you know what? We're living in a land that's doing stupid things. Hobby Lobby. That guy was on television last night or night before last, and he's put a big thing, and I believe it may be close to our capital or somewhere down in Washington. A big thing that it's about the Bible. I mean, it's large, it's big, it's bigger than life. And you know, it's got all these wonderful things all about the Bibles and stuff like that. But you know what? They got him to the point where he said, I'll sell my store before I'll knuckle down to him.
Amen.
And he won. He went against the United States of America. He won. And him and the guy from Chick-fil-A did too. But you know what? They're being sued for millions of dollars. And you know what? We're being persecuted by the liberal media that attacks anybody that stands for what they believe.
Amen.
We've got to stand.
Right.
We're going into a new year, 2018, and we ought to determine in our heart that we're going to stand for what's right, no matter what it costs. Amen.
Amen.
It ought not make us want to quit. It ought to make us, it ought not make us back up in a corner. I tell you what, it ought to make us outraged. We ought to be outraged enough to make us say, I'm going to act. It ought to make us outraged enough to say, I'm going to stand for what the Bible says, not what some political party or something like that says, but I'm going to stand for the Word of God. Whatever this says, that's what I'm going to stand for. Amen. And I tell you what, we're fixing to come up at the end of this year. We're going to go through this thing again, another election, and we're going to come to a time where we're going to have to vote, and we ought not look for a perfect candidate because there's not going to be a perfect candidate.
Amen.
Those candidates are just like you and I. Can you imagine the other day they had this guy from Arkansas that come up and he come up and he got right to the end of his campaign there not long before the election day, and they came out and said 30 years ago he had improperly touched some girl or young girls or something like that, and he lost the election, but he lost it to guy that believes in everything that's against the Bible.
Yes. No.
Abortion and all this stuff. I tell you what, when we come up, you know what? We need to look at the ones that are pro-life, and then we need to find out which ones are pro-Israel. Are y'all excited about our embassy is going to be moved to Jerusalem? And you know what? Good things are happening. Wonderful things are happening. But I tell you what, they're happening because God's people took a choice to stand for something. And we need to stand. And we need to look and see which one of them's pro-morality. And even though our candidates are going to be flawed, and even though the people, hey, we ought not just worry about the people that's that's working for our Congress and stuff. Hey, we live in Lufkin. We got things going on right here in Lufkin. And we gripe and bellyach about it, but why don't we do something about it? Do y'all know who's going in these offices around here in Lufkin? Do you know what they stand for? I ashamedly want to say that I don't most of the time. Last year we got some sheets that told what everybody stood for, and I tell you what, this year we need to find out the people of our town what they're standing for, and if they're not standing for God, I don't care what they are, I don't care what color they are, or what denomination they are, or what political party they are, or anything else. We are to vote and put some godly Christian people in there. Amen. But they're not going to be perfect people. They're going to be just like you and I. But the one that's the closest to what the Word says, that's the one we ought to vote for. The one that's not the closest, we ought not vote for. But we need to decide what to do with a nation with its hands on the threshold of the church. They're looking to us. They're expecting something out of us. They're coming to us. But we got to quit playing games. We've got to get serious about this thing. Listen, are you a child of the Most High God or are you not? No. You don't have to act like some wimp or sit back and say, oh, I'm afraid I'm fixing to offend somebody. I tell you what, you ought to get bold as a lion. You ought to get, you know what, I encourage people like these over here that's gone down there to Columbus to church, to camp, and our kids going down to the camps, and Brother David and Paula going up there to Andrew Womack's and things like that. I encourage that. Amen. And I think we ought to back these people all the way in every way. You know why I encourage that? Because they are set aside and they make a stand and they putting God first, and they're coming back here to help us be strong and to help us go forward and to help us make the right decisions in our towns and our country. Amen. And so we need to decide what we're going to do with this nation that's got got his hands on the threshold of our church out there. What are we going to give to this next generation? Now, they said 3 things that we need to do. Are y'all willing to do it?
Yeah.
This year? Hey, this is New Year's. We're going into 2018. This is the new year that's coming up. And here's what he said do. He said to consider it. When he sent those pieces of the divided body up to the different tribes of Israel, he said, consider it. Now that was pretty drastic, wasn't it? How would y'all like to go out there and UPS come by and they drop you off a package at your garage door, you know, and you go out there and say, oh boy, look here what this is. And you open it up and there's a leg or an arm or a head or something like that. You think that would get your attention? Hey, I guarantee you, that's what happened here. They divided this woman up, they cut her into pieces, and they sent it out to the 12 tribes. And they got a message. They said, consider it. You know what? Consider means to allow the realization of reality to set in. Y'all want me to say it again? It says to consider means to allow the realization of reality to set in. I tell you what, you get somebody's leg in your mailbox and the reality is going to set in. Amen?
Amen.
And you know what? America has to wake up.
Amen.
Our church has to wake up in 2018. We're going to have to quit. We're going to have to quit sleeping things off. You know what's the matter with our churches nowadays? One thing, preachers won't preach anymore.
Amen.
What did the Bible say in the last days? Y'all think we're living in the last days?
Oh yeah.
In the last day, men is going to heap to themselves what? Teachers, itching ears. Now, I haven't got anything against teachers. In fact, some people just left here that I was trying to encourage to go to school where they could learn. And you know what? Just like Brother David, him and Polly just come back from Andrew Womack. Andrew Womack is a teacher. That's his deal. Now, I'm not talking about that. I am not talking about that. What I'm talking about is professional preachers. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Hey, preachers, it comes up there and you can leave and you won't have any conviction when you leave. You sit through the whole message and you can sit up there and you can live like the devil. You can commit any kind of sins that you want to commit. And you can sit on that front row and you can say amen, amen, amen. And you can leave happy. I don't think preachers are doing their job. I really don't. I tell you what, I thank God that you know that we were able, and I just tell you right now, you need to give roses, you know, when people's alive. I thank Mike and Mary for probably helping us more than anybody else get out of a denominational setting where people deny the power of God. And they had people that helped them. Brother John Osteen come to Center, Texas one time, did he, at y'all's church? Can y'all imagine that? What an honor that would be. It tickled me just get an old stretch doll like he used to use, you know. I mean, and a dollar coming in. But you know what? I tell you what, and you know what? It's good. We need to learn who we are in Christ. You've got to know who you are in Christ. And you've got to know all these good things things that God's got for you. You not got to know God. We have to know God and not just know about Him. We need to know Him. And we need to know about the power of the Holy Ghost. And we need to be filled with the Holy Spirit. And we need to do all these things. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about coming to church when people are coming to church and they're expecting something. They're wanting a blessing from God. And you're out fiddling around all week and come up here and tell a couple of stories and let them go. Boy, everybody's quiet. No, we ain't like this in 2019. I'm chewing me out, not you.
Amen.
Don't be sad, be glad.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of times preachers won't preach about anything controversial. I mean, this will be controversial today when you start talking about, concubines and homosexuals and all this kind of stuff, I mean, I think that might be controversial. In fact, I just toned it down a whole lot. But you know what? The very life of our nation is at stake. The very life of our town is at stake. They're looking at us. They're wanting something. They're yearning for something. They're asking for something. They're begging and pleading for something different. We don't want to be just another church.
Amen.
Hey, people's got the right to see the power of God manifest itself. You ought to come expecting something. You ought to come expecting a change in your life and take it out. Take that change out of your life and take it to your neighbor and take it to the people that's on your job. He said, consider it. Allow the realization to set in. Realize that our nation's in trouble. I tell you what, we need to have a nation that our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will have the same values or higher values than what we had in our generation.
Amen.
Y'all remember shows back in the 50s? I used to think everybody slept in double beds. Father knows best and all these things like that, And you know what? They would never show a bedroom scene, hardly ever, but when you saw a bedroom scene, they had two beds. Do y'all remember that? Of course, that's the way it probably is now. Turn your television on and see for yourself. Could you ever believe that you, right here in the United States of America, could you ever believe that a socialist could have campaigns running for the President of the United States? And fill auditoriums. And young people would cheer and scream. And if they dropped somebody in that said something that they didn't like, that they would just get out there and turn your car over and set it on fire and break the windows out and do all this kind of crazy stuff. Do you believe, when you was young, did you ever believe that things like this could happen? Maybe it's happening today. We've got to get back to the principles of freedom and liberty. I'm considering we need to consider what's going on. I'll tell you a story. There's a story in the Old Testament of Joash, and the nation was being attacked. I believe our nation is being attacked.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever thought about what's going to happen if America ever goes down? It's not just America. When America goes, maybe the whole world's going. Because we are the light of the world. We are the ones that's a godly nation. But you know what? This nation was being attacked, and so they go to the old prophet Elijah. He's died. And he said, what am I going to do? And the prophet said, go to the window and take your bow and arrow, and shoot an arrow out the window. Now, that seems sort of stupid, don't it? He said, what is this? And the prophet said, it's the arrow of the Lord's deliverance. It's the arrow of the Lord's deliverance. And I want you to consider this morning. When you consider, you remember what? Allow the realization of reality to set in. Can y'all this morning allow the realization of reality to set in? What's going on around you and in our nation? And don't you see that we need to listen to this and take it to heart? But this arrow was a symbol of God's available power. Our enemy has come into this nation like a flood. And God has given us some arrows of deliverance.
Amen.
He really has. Prayer. Prayer don't cost you nothing. Hey, it don't even cost you your time. You can be doing something else. You can multitask. You can be riding down the road. You can pray. The Bible says pray without ceasing. Be in a prayerful attitude all the time. But that's one of the arrows of our deliverance. And you know what? That's God's available power is prayer.
Amen.
Yeah.
And then there's fasting. Oh, let's not talk about fasting. Standing up. Do you remember when men were men?
Come on.
And they'd look you right in the eye and they'd tell you the truth no matter what the outcome was? We need to stand up, men.
Amen.
Quit letting the women do everything. That's not the way it was meant to be. Men ought to be men. Do you women want men or do y'all want mice? Y'all didn't act like it too much. What do y'all want?
Men.
Men.
Godly men.
Godly men. And I tell you what, that's one of the arrows of deliverance and being salt. We need to be the salt of the earth. We're what's preserving this earth and keeping it. And then being the light. We need to be vocal. Hey, we can talk about anything else in the world. Brother David come by here a few weeks ago. And so I was going in there and we got to talking. And you know what? We talked for, how long did we talk? 2 or 3 hours probably? Pretty good while. You know why we talked for 2 or 3 hours? Because we had something in common. One thing was no 57 Chevrolets. Amen? He gave me a fine picture of a newspaper back there he had for no telling how long. Come out in 1957. I mean, we bonded. We had something in common. Now I can go up to Daryl's house, and Daryl won't talk to me much about a 57 Chevrolet. He just sort of looks at me like a cat when you get. But I tell you what, somebody comes in and talks about a football game, Daryl, he tells all the scores, and him and them boys, they'll tell you everything. And my daughter, did you hear her up here a while ago? She knew the mascots of the schools. Why? Because they have something in common. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We're in this world. We're living here. We've got to talk about things like that, and we need to. It makes the world go around. But I'm going to tell you one thing: what we ought to have in common is Jesus Christ.
Amen.
If we can talk about a 57 Chevrolet or a football game, we ought to be able to talk about Jesus. Amen. In 2018, we need to talk about Jesus, Erica. When you're putting on them eyelashes and stuff, them women, you need to be telling about Jesus. Praise God. Just talk to them. We've got to get back to the principles of freedom and liberty. And we've got to consider what's going on. We've got to be vocal. We've got to stand for our beliefs. What do you believe? Do you even know what you believe? Hey, I used to think I knew what I believed. I really did. Up until 1972, if you'd have asked me, said, "Are you going to heaven, boy?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm on my way." Straight as an arrow. Baptist born, Baptist bred. When I die, I'll be Baptist dead. Praise God, I got it together.
Preach it out.
And I thought I really had it together. And you know what? I would be vocal about it. I tell you, if you asked me, I'd probably. But you know what? I was lost on my way to hell. I was deceived. I didn't know what I believed. I believed a bunch of stupid stuff. I believed that God was an old man up there, and he's getting older and contrary every day, and he has a big stick, and every time you walk by, if you goofed up, he'd hit you with that stick, break your leg, kill your kids, and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that nobody ever taught me that, but that's what I thought. But we need to know what we believe. And we need to know why we believe it. And that's where those teachers come in that we was talking about a while ago. We need to know that we know what we believe. And then we need to take our communities back. Hey, these crazy people, these people that own the beer joints down here and the dance halls and all this kind of stuff, the people that's got the money that they're throwing around, we don't have to let them run our communities. They got a place, they used to have one down here, I don't know if they still do or not, a nightclub, and they got one in Nacogdoches. I know that they're supposed to be teen nights, and the teenagers can come out and they can't get no beer and stuff, but they can. Somebody said they go right through another door and get some, if they want. But you know what? We don't have to put up with that kind of stuff. I remember when they decided in Lufkin, Texas, that they was going to have ball games on Wednesday night. Y'all remember that? They're going to have ball games on Wednesday nights. Now they have them on Sundays during church. Wednesdays. Any other time they won't have them. But in Lufkin, they're going to have ball games on Wednesday nights. But I'm going to tell you one thing. All it took was some people standing up and went up to the school and said, "No, we're not going to have it." And you know what? They didn't have it. They may have it now, but they didn't have it as long as we was there. You know why? Because we stood up. We took our community. We took our school back. We wouldn't let them ungodly people up there just go and jerk our kids around and tell us what we was going to do. And you know what? We can do the same thing right here. We don't have to roll over and play dead. We stand for something. But we've got to be vocal. We've got to know what we stand for, and we've got to be willing to stand up and proclaim it. We know 2018 is coming. We need to take our communities back. We need to take our schools back. Hey, we need to take our neighborhoods back. We don't have to put up with the dope dealers and the trash that takes our neighborhoods over and makes it unsafe for our kids to walk down the road. When we was in Brawlers, we'd walk to school. I don't know what, 2 or 3 miles, maybe. And you know what? And we'd go out there on Saturdays when we was little bitty kids. We'd hitchhike St. Augustine, go up there and watch a movie, and come back because everybody knew everybody. They knew it just as safe as it would be if your parents took you up there.
Amen.
Because I tell you what, when you was up there, if you goof up, when them other parents see you, they just soon take their belt off and wear you outside. You know, and you know what? You didn't even dare to come back and tell mom and daddy about it because they'd wear you out again.
Come on. That's what's wrong with the world now.
But we need to take our communities back. Y'all just made a big step of taking Zavala back from all the drugs and alcohol, right out there where y'all's house is. Sent that guy to the penitentiary. Uprooting the whole neighborhood for how long? For years. But he's no longer there. Why? Because somebody stood for good. Somebody stood for right. And we can stand. And we will stand. The only thing you got to do is just get this thing, just get this old mind sort of rewired, revamped, and you know, just have the mind of Christ. But we've got to get outraged like they did. He said, consider it. Consider it. You need to consider that our young people are dying. If I was to ask y'all this morning, I'm not going to. I don't want you to raise your hand. If I was to ask y'all, how many of y'all's family has been affected by drugs, would everyone have to raise their hand? Probably. If I ask you how many of our families have been affected by alcohol or sex, illicit sex, homosexuality, or all these sins that's so prevalent, if I bet you everyone, I'm not going to bet you, that's just something I say, I'm not saying. But you know what? All of our families have been affected by these sins, and it may not even be us, or maybe not our immediate family, but I guarantee you we're affected by it.
Amen.
But we got to get outraged by it. We've got to consider it. We've got to consider that our young people are dying and they're worth fighting for. How much are your children worth? Erica, how much is that little old baby worth? $75?
That's a great offer. I'll give you 75 for it. I see me.
That's the first, 75, going once.
That's the big.
Our young people are dying. Consider the gangs that are stealing and killing and destroying our nation. I found out going out to our park, I kept seeing these shoes around them lines going across there. And I thought, somebody wants their shoes. I seen a pair laying in the street last week, went out there. I guess they'd thrown them up there and they fell back off or something, you know. But they tie their shoes together with the strings and they throw them up over them, and come find out that's gangs that are marking their territory. That's right up the road here. And so, me, being the nice, polite person that I am, not want to cause any controversy or nothing, I just got in the back of my pickup, had them boys hold me on a ladder, and I climbed up on the back of my pickup on top of that ladder. I took me a knife and I cut them suckers down. And then pretty soon they'd throw another up there and I'd cut it down. Now they quit putting them up there. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. We've got to consider that there's gangs around us.
Amen.
And they're stealing, they're killing, they're destroying our nation. They're destroying our kids. Chip, you don't like that little girl that you got much, do you? I can tell. You just, yeah, you love her with all your heart. How much is that baby worth? Is that baby worth standing up against the devil and his crowd?
Amen.
And saying, listen, enough is enough. Stop. And mean it? I think they are. We need to consider stuff like these supreme justices that are rewriting our Constitution. Hey, we don't need our Constitution rewritten. We need to just abide by it like it is. Amen. And then we need to consider the fact that we have Christian hospitals that's being sued for performing abortions. And you know what? We're losing our religious freedom. We're losing our religious liberty. And we need to wake up. And we need to be outraged by it. We ought to just get ticked off. So Joshua said to Elijah, the Syrians are coming. You know what we could say today? ISIS is coming.
Yeah.
I heard on the news the other night that they was talking about what our president's accomplished this year. They said 95% of the territory that ISIS held, 95% of it is, 98% of it is no longer under their possession.
Amen.
Is that pretty good? Amen. I tell you what, 98%. They did have, I don't care how many thousands of people, and they're down to 1,000.
Amen.
And they're after them. They're not stopping.
Amen.
Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be eradicated. There's somebody else there teaching other people. There's going to always be a fight. But you remember what? When we used to hear the communist is coming? I mean, that was the big deal back in our day. The communist was coming. Do y'all remember when we used to have those drills about getting under the desk and stuff like that? And had the storm shelters, the bomb shelters, and all that kind of stuff. You know why? Because the communists were a very big threat back in our day. And I think they still are.
Yeah.
I think Russia's still the biggest threat that we've got. I mean, I know they got the little rocket man and all them kind of people, but I tell you what, I wouldn't get my eyes off of Russia. But you know what? That used to be the big thing back in when I was a kid. And you know what? Now we got so much more that's coming against us. But you know what? Them communists didn't win. You know why? Because I believe God took care of it.
Amen.
He watched after us. He moved on our behalf. But you know what? And all these ISISes and all them other crazy groups that they've got, they're not fixing to win.
Amen.
Hey, we're the winners.
Yeah.
You ought to look at somebody next to you and say, you're a winner.
You're a winner.
And don't forget that. But you know what? But I'm going to ask you, what are we doing as the body of Christ? What are we preaching? What are we saying? Brother David taught this morning on power words and stuff like that. What are we saying? What are you saying every day?
Amen.
The truth is, we're going to wake up and realize that terrible trouble is coming if we don't see a change
Amen.
in our nation, in our churches, in our preachers, in our Christians. We are the body of Christ. And I tell you what, we ought to act like the body of Christ. And we ought to stand up, and we ought to be bold, and we ought to proclaim that in 2018, things are not going to be the way they was in 2017 or 2016. They're going to be better. And we're going to stand. Because God's given us the arrows of deliverance. He's given us some weapons. It just amazed me that back in Iraq, Iran stuff, they show, they show all the wars now. And they would shoot those bombs, and they would go right through doorways and right through windows. And I can't even imagine what kind of weapons that they've got that we don't even know anything about. But you know what? God has given us better weapons than that.
Amen.
More up-to-date weapons than that. He's given us the arrows of deliverance. He's given us the name of Jesus. He's given us the gospel of Jesus. And He's given us the power of the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Let me tell you today that you are well armed.
Amen.
You have the most powerful weapons. They worry about those bombs that the little rocket man's got over there, about blowing up, and he can shoot rockets all the way to America now. They've got that nerve gas already. They're worried about the atomic bomb or hydrogen bomb or whatever kind of bombs they're worried about him having and all that. And that is bad. Hey, we saw what it done in Japan.
Amen.
And that's just a smidgen of what they've got nowadays. But I'm going to tell you one thing, that is nothing. That is nothing compared to what God has honored you with. Nothing. They're a defeated foe. The only thing is, the honest way that this world can defeat us is if we just roll over and don't do anything.
Amen.
And we're not going to do that. We're not going to roll over. Y'all ever seen a big old dog, just a little dog go out there and get the yapping at it, and a big dog just running, roll over and throw his feet up in the air? Well, I mean, one bite would just chomp that other feet. But they won't use their power. But I tell you one thing, we're going to use our power. Amen. We're going to determine that in 2018 that we're going to use the power of God, and we're going to stand. We're going to consider what's going on around us. We're going to realize that we are something, that we can do something, and that it's left up to us. And we're going to move. We're going to act. We're going to make a difference. In Jesus' name.
Hallelujah. Head, not tail.
You are children of the Most High God.
Amen.
You are heirs and joint heirs with Jesus Christ. You are more than a conqueror. You're somebody.
Amen.
And we need to get that old defeated mentality out of our thinking and out of our vocabulary. We need to know what words to use and use those words wisely. And I tell you what, we need to stand up and we need to be courageous and we need to take our communities. Well, I tell you what, we need to take our churches back first. Amen. Our homes back. That's what we need. We need to take our homes back first.
Take mine back.
Are y'all excited?
Amen.
You look so scared. Are you excited today? Amen. Are you going? Looking for a good year, 2018? A prosperous year? Amen. It ain't no telling what's going to happen in 2018. But I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you how it's going to end up. 2018 is going to end up good.
Amen.
Amen. We're going to be better off at the end of 2018 if Jesus tarries than we was when 2018 comes in tomorrow night. Amen. And we're going to be happy and prosperous.
Amen.
And strong.
Yes.
and about God's business.
Yeah.
Amen. You ready, Cody? Amen. The deacons got to watch it. Their arrows is pointed at you. Their guns is pointed at you. They want to destroy you. Even my brother Carl there. Devil's after you. Hey, devil's after you up there. Whoever heard of such woman preaching on the phone. Goodness gracious. Facebook. Y'all got Facebook?
No.
Amen. Mary preaches on it.
Very wrong.
Amen. But you know what? Mary ought not be on the Facebook by themselves. When people turn on the Facebook, they ought to see so many people preaching, praise God, that they wouldn't even think about all that. So many, every time something, you know what? Somebody has a wreck or something, it'll go all over the country, just like that. They had a fire right across the road a while ago when church started. They had that fire trucks going around. I bet everybody in the county except us knows just what happened.
We need to look closer.
This,
That's where they're going.
I'll tell you what, why don't we get on Facebook and tell everybody about the good things?
Yes.
Have you had anything good happen to you this year? Amen. Every day. Woody, have you had anything good happen to you this year? Hey, I remember when Woody was up there and he was arguing. He had just a little old bitty room there. He was building transmission in that room. I remember going up there and it'd be hot. Oh, Woody be back there. He said, he's supposed to air condition this thing for me, but he just had never done it. We go back up there again and Woody be sweating and everything. He's going to air condition this thing for me one of these days. But one of these days, Woody walked out and he built him an air conditioning room. And then that wasn't good enough. He built him a shop next door to that, and that wasn't good enough. God bless him so much. He went across the road and bought the man and built another shop. And now he just stepped there. And you know what? The Bible says that God's no respecter of person. He loves you just as much as he does Woody, and he can bless you the same way. Amen. It's your wife like Tammy. Amen. Let's all stand. I done. It's almost time to quit. It's almost 12 now. You know what? God's good. We ought to be excited about what's fixing to take place. We're going to finish this next week if nothing happens. We just got the one thing he told us to just consider it. That's as far as we got to do. But you know what? God's got so much good for us in 2018. And I believe we're going to just reach out and grab all of it. Amen. But right here today,